Hi guys, how are we doing? It's Coach John here and welcome to this week's Whiteboard Wednesday. This week we're going to be looking at needs analysis. Now some of you may be wondering, well, why do we need to conduct a needs analysis? Well, this helps us adequately prepare athletes or tactical populations for their activities that they're going to be facing by having a better understanding of the demands they'll be up against. So for the guys who are potentially looking to do the UKSCA case study, or for the guys in the US who are looking to go down the collegiate strength conditioning route, sit in the CSCCA, this video could be really helpful for you guys with regards to planning out your case studies. So for the needs analysis, we're going to look at 4 distinct areas within this. So first of all, with any sport, we want to have a look at what the movements are going to be, like an overall movement analysis of the common movement patterns that athlete is going to face. So is it a lot of time spent on a single leg? Is there a lot of cutting, deceleration and acceleration work within that? Also, if we're going to look at things such as movement, we need to be a bit more in depth and say, like, right, what is the details on that movement, as in joint angles those athletes will be facing. So case in point, I've done some work around sprinting before and the application of weightlifting to sprinting activities. So if we look at sprinters in the block start, I know from a general standpoint, getting them stronger is going to help them produce more force. But I'd also want them, for depending on how they set up their blocks, they need to be able to produce, force at a joint angle, like say in the front knee between 89 to 112 degrees of knee flexion in the front leg, and the rear leg we're looking at about 118 to 138 degrees, depending on how you set up your blocks. So that's something to be aware of with that. So not only working on the general aspects, but also looking at the physical side of things, specific around the joint. We've also got to look at the physiology involved in every single sport or activity as well. So within this, we can look at things such as common energy systems, and that can be broken down by work to rest ratios, so we know how long the activity is going to last for, or how many intermittent bouts there could be within that single activity. We can also look at things such as number of sprint efforts or number of decelerations that the athlete's going to have to face within that, and what their working heart rate's going to have to be at. So if we know they're going to sit at sub-max, say for more of an endurance-based athlete, or if we're looking at more intermittent sport where heart rate's going to start to skyrocket up to more of our maximal heart rate. So it's just something we need to be aware of within that. We can also start looking at what the required strength levels are. So if you're looking at wrestling, judo, or weight class sports, like, right, how strong does that athlete need to be within that sport or within their weight bracket? So weight class sports, we need to be stronger relatively, but as we get heavier and heavier, as you get up to the heavyweight categories, maximal strength is going to take more and more of a precedence within that. Other things is conditioning levels, so we can do simple tests such as our yo-yo, 1.5 miler, or your bleep test, something like that. But right, what are the common scores for this athlete? Just so we're aware of what we need to reach to. I would preface this though with a little bit of caution when we're looking at the research with regards to trying to adequately prepare athletes, and just make sure you critically evaluate everything you're looking at. Case in point, if I go back to my sprinters, if I look through the research and that, I can see, what their max power output is for elite level sprinters and what their max strength scores are across a number of different exercises. For instance, I could say, like, look, elite sprinters are really strong in bench press. Now, if I go away and be like, right, all my sprinters need to suddenly start bench pressing, it's not going to give a great deal of carryover to their sprinting ability. If you look at it, it's more indicative that, right, elite sprinters are generally just stronger overall. And probably they do the bench press, A, because they like it, and B, while they stand there on their blocks waiting to go. It's probably an intimidation factor, just, being a bit more muscular up top as well compared to the competition. So it's something just to be aware of there. So just because something's there in the literature doesn't mean it's going to have a profound effect on your outcome for that sport or that athlete. Now, back on point. Another area we really want to look at here is injuries. So we want to consider what the most common injury sites are within that individual. If we look at field sports, there's a lot of hamstring and ACL issues going on there as well. So how do we adequately prepare to minimize those injuries with regards to the training block? Also, we need to analyze why is it those injuries are cropping up. Is it commonly through overuse? I've seen a lot of higher volume endurance sports where it's more soft tissue injuries, or is it because of some sort of trauma through either collisions? If we're looking at like judo or jiu-jitsu, some sort of lock that's hyperextended the joint. These are things you just need to consider within that. And after all this, we need to come back ultimately to who we're working with, the athlete. And how does that athlete match up with everything we've just covered there? So in terms of physiology, are they strong enough compared to what we were wanting to get them to at an elite level? Is their conditioning scores at an elite level, or is there some work we need to do around that? What's their injury history? How often have they been injured? Is it quite a common recurring injury, or is it something we can see in a weakness there that could lead to an injury down the line? And that could be done by just overview analysis in the gym or through a specific movement screening test. So just a few things to be, considering within there as well. Okay guys, so if we're talking about the UKSCA prep or the CSCCA prep, first starting block we need to do is start right at the beginning and look at the overall plan from the annual standpoint. So you need to look at things, so where the main competition blocks are, is there any training camps planned, and then also what your sort of levels of competition will be. So are they small regional competitions, are they national competitions, are they international? And then you need to start to prioritize these with regards to how important they are to your athlete. So there's no point trying to peak for a small local meet if your athlete competes at a high national or international level. Okay, it's more of just a training experience, and it's something you can go into with a bit of fatigue. Whereas with our higher end competitions, it's something we want to be rested for and well prepared for. So we want to make sure we deload going into those. Once we've established this, we can start working out our volumes intensity and see where we need to have them within this yearly structure. And then we can start to pinpoint that exact block we want to work on for our case study. So in terms of the UKSCA, it's a 3-month case study that you need to present on with an athlete you've worked with. So once you've singled this out, this could be your pre-season, this could be like competitive season, tail end sort of thing. So you just need to decide where you want to work with regards to this athlete. Once you've established this, you need to break it down to monthly blocks of what you've done over that time period with the athlete and show those progressions throughout. And we also need to tie into this the weekly plan. So we've talked about the annual plan, but the weekly plan is also important and shows how you're connecting with other service providers, be it physio, be it nutrition, physiology, as well as the technical coaches for that sport or within that governing body, and say like, right, how do these S&C sessions fit in within this this weekly plan? And what is the knock-on effect to subsequent sessions in that week? So if we've got a hard S&C session, what is the outcome going to be for the technical session that follows that? Okay, so it's just having those conversations around that with the technical coach so you both know what to expect. Once we've talked about the weekly plan, this is when we start to really drill down onto what that individual session is for that athlete. And then you can start to talk around like how you've progressed this on. So maybe like I've had a novice athlete come in through that 3-month plan. Very first session we worked on was just squat mechanics. Week later we came in, we started introducing a bit of a box so we could start to really work on that depth of that athlete. Then it could be something like a goblet squat, and you're just showing that general progression going through with regards to that programming and also tying back into those goals you've set for that athlete as well. Okay guys, so that's going to cover our needs analysis chat for today. If you've got any questions, please drop me a message and I'll happily answer anything you may have. In the meantime, make sure you guys like, subscribe and share this video out amongst your network, please. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.